Up next, we know that the impact of late payment has a huge impact on small businesses. According to a Xero Global Business platform, South Africa's 91 SMEs are owed almost 100,000 each in late payments. It says the national scale of late payments could equate to around 249.5 billion rand. This is across all SMEs in South Africa. Colin Timmis is the General Country Manager of Xero South Africa, and he joins us from our Parliament studios. Colin, thank you so much and welcome to SME On Point.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
This is a very interesting study that you've come across, but of course, one that we all know that SMEs are currently having a big problem with. But I'm interested in knowing how you conducted this research in the first place.
We spoke to a couple of hundred different small businesses to understand what their challenges were, and of course there's the usual economic challenges that everybody has, but something that really came out quite pronounced was how late some of these small businesses are being paid. And almost half of them, about 47%, were saying that the late payments from their customers places obviously a huge strain on their cash flow, but actually threatens the livelihood of their business. So it's really important to understand the challenges of these small businesses. It's really difficult getting a lot of customers, getting good clients, getting good jobs, delivering the service, but then of course after that not to be paid can be a huge strain on any small business.
Yeah, 100,000 each being owed in late payments. Can you imagine what these small businesses can do? We can get them to innovate, we can get them to come up with new projects. Is this the sentiment that you found with those you surveyed?
Absolutely, and of course we have to understand that not everybody has access to things like lending facilities and overdrafts, which are usually used to fund a debtors book that is growing. All the skills and the tools available to manage that debtors book. You know, whenever we have debtors in a small business or customers that owe us money, really important to understand who it is that owes us money and where are they in that journey. So how are we following up on that money? And if we don't have access to the funds to run our business while we're waiting for people to pay us, and we don't have access to the tools that would help us collect that money, it places a huge strain on a small business and of course a massive risk, because writing off those bills or those invoices as bad debts is sometimes not an option for people, and as a result they end up having to borrow money, go into further debt, incur more interest charges, and their business just becomes unviable.
Our listeners, our viewers rather, about what steps they can take in order to mitigate this. Of course, we know about having enough cash flow, the issue of savings, making sure that you have savings. What other strategies can they apply to make sure that if late payment does happen, you don't find yourself in a situation where you have to let go of staff or stop business altogether?
Absolutely, that's very important, and there's a couple of really good steps that small businesses can take. Number one, choose your customers carefully. Understand who your customer is. If you only have one or two customers in a business, you don't really have a business, you have a consultancy, and therefore the risk of your business going under as a result of non-payment is massive, because if those one or two customers, maybe it's government, maybe it's a municipality, maybe it's a single big corporate client who decides not to pay you, if those one or two guys don't pay you, your business will be in serious trouble. Then of course, number two, have a very structured collection program. So if you are issuing invoices, make sure your customer understands when are you expecting him to pay you, and what are the milestones you will complete that will require him to pay you. And then third, really importantly, what are your financial records? Where are they maintained? How are you issuing your invoices? Is it structured? Do you have a plan to follow up on the money that's owed to you? There are really great tools out there that are accessible to everyone, that are cloud-based tools that allow people to use their mobile phones, use their devices that are with them every day to issue quotes, issue invoices, and more importantly, your customers can actually pay you on the phone. So these tools and these pieces of software that are out there for a few hundred rand a month, really great ways of ensuring that we don't allow our customers to not pay us in a period of time if we enforce that structure in our internal process.
Colin, should one invest in a legal arrangement, maybe with lawyers, in case something like this happens? Should you as a small business put your money towards there in case something like this happens?
There probably is an argument to say, yes, that should be done, but and there are a number of organizations that do a really good job for a small monthly fee. They'll actually follow up on your debts for you. But really, if you're a small business, you shouldn't be going into business and then having to incur these additional costs just to prevent bad customers from bringing your business down. I would rather say be proactive, choose the right customers. Yes, have those assurances in place that can protect you if something does go wrong, but very often it's almost too late for a small business. Bigger corporates, yes, they can go to courts, they can fight for money that's owed to him, but for a lot of small business companies, they need to ensure they set up their structures, their processes, their invoicing, their debt collection early on, and with that in mind, they choose who the customers are that they will deal with, and thereby dictate how customers pay them, when they pay them. Because getting into a legal argument and a fight about money owed to you, small businesses just don't have the time, and they just don't have the money, and they cannot afford to have their attention moved away from their business onto these type of administrative and operational matters that can just literally suck all the hours out of your day.
And lastly, Colin, it's obviously a misconception that it's only government doing business with government that would result in you getting late payments or no payments at all. We find that corporates, large corporates also, you could fall victim to that. But on a policy basis, government basis, we seem to not be making a lot more progress in enforcing those rules that each and every company that does business with a smaller business should be paying them within 30 days. Is that what you're seeing as well?
Absolutely. Absolutely. There needs to be a change in our attitude towards small businesses. We talk a lot about how we need to empower and grow small businesses. We really need to see corporates and larger companies who are working with small businesses putting their money where their mouth is, and actually in not just investing in the small businesses, but honoring the agreements and the contracts and the documents that have been signed, and honoring the services and the time that have been given by a small business, and helping them grow and develop and employ new people. And I think if we can have this sort of cultural shift amongst how we view small businesses and their importance, and how we can enable them to be more sustainable and to employ more people, it's just better for all of us.
Colin Timmis, thank you so much for joining us on SME on Point, and we really appreciate the 4 points that you've shared with us and our SME viewers on how we can protect ourselves in terms of late payments from government or big corporates. Thank you once again for your time.